a beautiful morning. I wonder what treasures today will bring.
Vernessa Van Tixie stretched her arms above her, so the muscles in her back popped. The splendid morning light flooded in through her bedroom window. It was a cool fall day in a series of many wonderful autumn weeks. This morning was especially gorgeous. A radiant blanket of sunlight covered the compound outside, and the half-dozen trees within the walls swayed in the breeze. An assortment of inviting reds, warm oranges, and crisp yellows danced about excitedly. Vernessa was an older woman, some time past her 38th birthday. She had long black hair that she tied into a single ponytail. Her brown eyes took in all before her. A compound consisting of a lovely collection of buildings, factories, forges, and warehouses. Large stone walls surrounded the compound, and beyond the walls were the thick, lush, docky forest. Here, Vernessa and those who followed her were safe from the outside world, safe from their judgments, safe from their mundane requests, and safe from silly little things like humane violations. Dozens of craftspeople were already walking about, getting ready to start their daily work. Some of them noticed Vernessa and waved.
Good morning, Master Van Tixie. Can't wait to see what your apprentices do this time.
Oh, morning, boss. Beautiful day, huh?
Who will make the best artifact? My bet's on Matilda. Always bet on Matilda.
You let me worry about the apprentices. And Matilda. You had better finish all of your projects before the West March Crusaders return.
Vernessa moved back inside and started to get dressed for what should prove to be an exciting morning. Today, her magical weapons apprentices were to display their final projects. Today, she wore a pair of black cloth slacks, a sleeveless dark green shirt, a black leather vest, and a pair of dark brown leather boots. It didn't take long for Vernessa to venture downstairs to her kitchen. After a hearty breakfast of 5 fried eggs, some ham, and some toast, Vernessa left her house. A soothing wind zipped around her playfully, and the sky was decorated with legions of large, fluffy clouds. Vernessa walked across the length of the compound, often referred to as Vernessa's stronghold by adventurers, and entered the Grand Forge. The Grand Forge was a 2-story workshop where she oversaw the creation and distribution of all the magical weapons that her organization produced. On the first floor, dozens of craftspeople hammered, cut, bent, and all manner of other tasks to create legendary items. These items would shape the course of the world 100 times over, no doubt. Vernessa smiled. Once upon a time, she had been an adventurer with one goal in mind. Her goal had manifested many years ago, and now all she had to do was maintain it. Life was good. Vernessa spared the Journeymen craftspeople one last look before she made her way to the second floor. There were several areas sectioned off on the second floor. The largest area was dedicated toward enchanting the magical weapons, armor, and other such things once the base design was forged below. Vernessa's own private forge was all the way in the back, although she rarely took on her own jobs nowadays. Vernessa entered the presentation chamber, where her 3 apprentices waited. The apprentices waited beside tables, with sheets draped over them. No doubt wonderful items waited beneath the sheets. The first apprentice was a gangly individual named Pike Rodan, who was taller than most, but quite skinny. Despite their thin frame, Pike had well-toned, lean muscles earned through hours of forging. Pike had a pair of crisp blue eyes, shoulder-length blonde hair, and a small mustache under their nose. Pike wore a sleeveless pink shirt, a pair of brown leather slacks, and a pair of dark brown work boots. The second apprentice was named Stephen Oswald, and he was a great bear of a man. Before dedicating himself to Vanessa's order, Stephen had been an intelligent and fierce field commander. His knowledge of battlefield applications of weapons and armor were almost unparalleled. He had a short, military-styled crew cut and a pair of light green eyes. He also wore a sleeveless shirt, although his shirt was as red as the blood he once spilled. Stephen also wore a pair of black pants and some black leather boots. Vanessa's last apprentice was a young woman of legendary infamy. Matilda Sanchez grinned from ear to ear. She wore a light purple dress with short sleeves, a pair of gray leggings, and a pair of knee-high boots. Her light brown hair was cut short, falling to her chin. Matilda's gray eyes sparkled dangerously. Vanessa stood before them and then gave them a slight smirk.
Good morning, you three. Today has come at last, the day of your final judgment. If you pass with a B or better, you shall ascend to Journeymen. Fail to do so, and you shall spend another year in independent study before I consider allowing you to attempt again. Are we clear?
Yes, Master Ventixie.
Now, no matter what the results of today's presentations are, I want you to know I'm very proud of all the work that you three have done. In your own ways, you've all grown immensely. Let today be the evidence of all that you've learned. Now, who shall go first? Pike, are you ready?
Me, Master Ventixie? Yes, ma'am.
Pike licked their lips for a moment, and then they grabbed the sheet covering their table. Slowly, they revealed what they had created. A single sword rested on the table's surface. The scabbard containing the sword was made of a shiny white material. Golden inlay was along the sword hilt and the pommel. In terms of design, it appeared to be a sort of saber a noble might wear.
Well, it certainly is a pretty piece. Describe for me the design.
Yes, of course. The scabbard is constructed from white dragon scales and were coated with some arcane lacquer, so it looks to be a solid piece rather than cut dragon scale slivers. I made sure to use a sanctified diamond saw to cut the scales. Each of the scales are blessed to repel the presence of ghosts and other such spectral adversaries. The golden inlay along the sword's hilt and pommel have been inscribed to allow the wielder the ability to sense body heat within 30 feet of them. The metal for the actual blade was folded 10,000 times, and the impurities were hammered out.
And what sort of metal did you use? Also, what is the material for the hilt?
Oh, I used mithril for the metal and sacred elm for the core for the hilt. The leather straps beneath the golden inlay were made from the leather of unicorn flesh.
And what is the intention for such a weapon? It is too pretty to be a common soldier's weapon.
This is meant to be for a noble's sidearm piece, Master. While it would stand up against most battlefield weapons, it is meant to be primarily ornamental, to demonstrate and flaunt one's wealth and prestige.
Flaunting one's wealth and prestige. I suppose that's one way of branding yourself. May I have you present your blade to me?
Pike nodded, and then drew the blade from the scabbard. As soon as the blade was fully freed, the blade became bathed in small magical flames.
Ah, it's a fire sword.
Yes, Master. The fire only burns when the wielder desires, and won't cause unintentional blazes to break out.
Ah, so it's very showy, but contained, so it doesn't cause collateral damage. Well done. Anything else unique about the weapon? And what's its name?
It's called the Flame of Nobility. And that's it, Master.
The Flame of Nobility? You are trying to make it highly coveted, aren't you? Well, I give the Flame of Nobility a B-.
Pike frowned slightly and gave a little nod.
I'm sorry, I couldn't do better.
Now, before you get upset, I want to explain. But also, you passed a Journeyman. I realise you're feeling vulnerable because you failed last year and the year before that. You have been under a lot of pressure, haven't you?
Yes, Master.
You were playing it extremely safe with this piece. You were scared to fail, again, so you stuck with what you knew and tried to make your best out of it. While I don't fault that, you know my order and my desire for my followers.
You want us to think outside the box and make things that will earn the statuses of legendary items.
Yes, your sword is magnificent, and it will be highly prized. I am sure it will still be considered legendary among a region and a family as an heirloom. You also constructed a beautiful sword. However, in the future, I want you to try to expand your skills and implement other magical qualities and attributes into your weapons, armor, and whatever else you decide to make. Doing that will only help you. Can you do that, Pike?
Yes, ma'am.
Again, you pass. Well done.
Good job, Pike. You have finally overcome your personal obstacles.
Yeah, you did it! I knew you were gonna pass today.
Thank you.
All right, Stephen. What have you made for me?
A wide grin planted itself on Stephen's face as he grabbed a great bulk of the sheet covering his table. With a dramatic flourish, he pulled the sheet off his weapon. Vanessa's eyes widened a little. A massive war maul made from dark wood rested on the table. It had a 4-foot handle and a gigantic headpiece that looked to be the trunk of some once great tree. Dark green dyed leather was wrapped around the long handle of the war maul. The pommel of the war maul was carved to resemble a clenched fist. Deep etchings ran up and down the wooden war maul, with runes carved into the headpiece.
Oh my. Well, explain the design to me, Stephen.
Allow me to introduce you to the Fist of the Treant. The entire weapon is made from the remains of a 1,000-year-old treant. As he was coming to the end of his life, this treant and I became friends, and he gifted me with his body to use as I see fit. The wood was further sanctified with druidic magic and runes to grant the wielder immense power. Firstly, the wood has been hardened and fortified so that it will never burn or even rot, and metal can't cut it apart. It is the perfect weapon for anyone who uses it.
I doubt anyone who isn't a bear like you can even pick up that thing, let alone use it. It is massive.
Ah, but looks can be deceiving, Master. The leather straps along the long handle infuse the wielder with giant strength, so they can use it. Even the Shrimpy Sanchez here can use it to maximum effect.
Oh, you're so funny. I'm totally dying over here due to your fantastic sense of humor. Is that one of the weapon's abilities too? Oh, so amazing.
Enough, you two. Okay, Stephen, so what else does this war maul do? And what is its intent?
I'm so glad you asked, Master. As for what else it can do, when it strikes inanimate objects like furniture, doors, walls, or anything else of the like, it causes the material to crumble. However, this only works on solid objects. Clothes and flimsy materials are not affected by its primary magical effect. Also, it can't kill anything, and will only cause concussive damage to knock living things out.
It can't kill anything. I'm curious about why you designed it that way. And what is this weapon's function?
I wanted to think outside the box and give adventurers a special weapon that is unlike any other they've ever come across. This weapon will allow them to capture enemies alive and grant the lucky adventurer who uses it a clear conscience. Not all adventurers want to kill living creatures. So, the Fist of the Treant gives it to them. As for its function, I based its intention on my experiences as a field commander.
Oh, really? Go on.
Whether you're sieging an enemy stronghold on the battlefield, or trying to burst into a locked room in a dungeon, the Fist of the Treant will aid you. It's versatile in and out of combat, and anyone can use it. Not only that, due to its size, it's intimidating as hell. It also has one last function as well.
Oh. What kind of function?
I wanted to make sure that whoever used it wouldn't be overly worn out after using the fist. Along with giant strength, so long as the wielder has their feet touching the ground, they gain, essentially, infinite stamina. I recognize this would make it less effective if trying to climb cliffs or if they're on the open ocean. But I wanted to create a sturdy weapon that would aid the wielder in most cases.
You recognized and acknowledged the limitations of this weapon, but made sure to consider as many important factors in its creation. You made it withstand much of wood's drawbacks: fire, rot, metal, and gave it so much utility in and out of combat. Not only that, but you used the corpse of a treant to construct it. That legacy and backstory alone will ensure that this will be a legendary weapon. Well done. You get an A and will pass into becoming a journeyman.
Stephen shook his fist in victory and then beamed a side eye toward the last apprentice. His small smirk said enough, and was an echo of the long and often exhausting history between Stephen and Matilda. Matilda wasn't even looking at him, though, but instead staring at Vanessa. Matilda's eyes glistened with a confidence and vibrancy that made the fall morning seem far less splendid. Matilda stood there with her arms clasped behind her back. A close-mouthed smile was under her nose. When compared to Stephen's and Pike's weapons, whatever Matilda had beneath her sheet was small and possibly round. What could it be? A sticky sort of anticipation flickered in Vanessa's stomach, and she couldn't hide her childlike wonder. This only seemed to enhance Matilda's mood.
Hello, Matilda.
Why, hello, Master! Are you ready?
I'm not sure. How can anyone be ready to face the chaos that seems to drip from you at frightening degrees?
Hey, but that's the beauty of chaos, Master! It is flexible and fluid, never doing what you might expect. Hey, isn't that the creed you forged into us? You didn't forget your own creed, did you, Master?
Do you honestly think I would forget? Don't you forget who found you all those years ago. Don't forget who taught you how to put chaos into your works.
Psst, do you honestly think I would forget? I'm gonna show you what I made now, Master. Get ready, because you're about to give me an A+. Woo!
An A+? I've never given an apprentice an A+. Ever.
That's why this is gonna be so special. It'll be the thing all future potential A+s will be gauged by.
Will you just get on with it already?
And what have you made?
Matilda pulled off her sheet while maintaining her focus on Vanessa. Vanessa rubbed her chin with her forefinger and thumb. A coiled brown leather whip lay in the center of Matilda's table. It looked to be fairly long, perhaps 8 or 9 feet in length, but it was hard to gauge with just looking at it. Small purple runes were carved into the leather strands that made up the whip. The whip's tip had a small rubber end, perhaps to ensure it was not as lethal as it could have been.
That's it! This is going to be the thing that all other A+s are going to be judged against.
Yes it is.
So what does it do? What is its name? And what's your intention with it?
Certainly. I'll answer your questions in the following order. 3, 1, and then 2. I envision this lovely weapon to be the tool of a fabulous roguish individual. A possible gentle person thief, or a wily bard, or maybe a dexterous shifty dark stranger. Who knows? I can see such a person pulling it out to deal with city guards they're trying to flee, or henchmen of rival gangs, or cruel monsters, like goblins or something.
Matilda gripped the handle, and she gently let the whip fall to the floor beside her.
Like Grizzly Butt over there, my weapon also doesn't do direct lethal damage. Although I suppose it can kill someone if used continuously.
That means it actually does lethal damage, you idiot.
That's not what it means, idiot. If a person dies due to this weapon's effects, it will be because of continuous use upon them. It's not the same thing.
So, what does it do, Matilda?
I'm so happy you asked. See, if someone gets whipped by it, they are overcome with uncontrollable diarrhea. They will immediately shit their pants.
I'm sorry, what?
Not only will it make you expel your bowels, but it will double and maybe even triple the amount you have to poop. Think about it. What better way to distract guards and get away than make them shit themselves? This whip does other amazing things too. For starters, if you accidentally whip yourself, you won't get affected by it. It's magic. You're also immune to smelling bad smells too. A magical aura of pleasant-smelling lavender and lilies is always in your nose. Believe me, that was a necessity.
You're being serious? That's really what your whip does. That's what this does.
Yep, I call it the shit whip.
For a long moment, Vanessa stared at her third apprentice, trying to discern if maybe this was still some kind of joke. Matilda just smiled and beamed unwavering eyes at her.
She really is serious? What a complete nutcase! That is the stupidest thing I have ever heard. How can something like that be useful? Master, are you seriously considering letting her make things like this for the Order? She is the most insane, incapable, incomprehensible person I've ever met. A shit whip? If I wasn't so certain this was a joke, I'd think she'd have shit for brains.
Matilda grinned wider, and she shifted her stance so that she faced Stephen.
Stephen, maybe you should stop.
Stop? The only person who should stop is
A putrid smell wafted on the air and polluted the entire presentation room. Thick streams of filth poured down from the insides of Stephen's pant legs and formed a grotesque pool at his feet. Stephen's knees buckled, and he collapsed into his disgustingness.
As you can see, my pursuer Stephen cannot chase me anymore, nor can he fight me. His body's expelling all that horrid diarrhea from his body. Oh, and you all seem affected by the nasty smell too, huh? Not me. Nor will whoever uses this whip. The other guards, along with Stephen, will smell the stench and feel sick. That will affect their ability to chase me. Now there is a lethal danger, as at this very moment, Stephen is dehydrated.
I am. Oh, you terrible person. I'll get you for this.
Funny story. If I whip him again, Steven will shut himself again. He will get even more dehydrated. Wanna see?
No, that's not necessary. But in light of the smell, I will make this brief. Your weapon is useful, unorthodox, and will be so unexpected and infamous that it will surely be made legendary in its own way.
So, what's my grade?
Oh god. Fine. A+. Stephen, go. Please clean yourself up and clean up that mess. You wouldn't have gotten whipped if you hadn't been running your mouth. Let's get out of here.
Vanessa made a beeline for the doorway, followed closely by Pike. She stopped in the doorway and glanced back, however.
Oh, what was that? A+? And what did you get? Not A+.
I hate you so much.
Vanessa waited until Matilda walked past her and out of the room before she called out,
Actually, you stay there so you don't track shit all over the forge. I'll have someone go get you and some new clothes and a portable bathtub for you to clean up with. Again, great job on passing.
Well, so far, the day had blessed her with unforgettable memories and treasures.